you are able and willing, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag Good evening, and thank you all for coming. Our first item of business is Article 1A, to elect a moderator to preside at the meeting. May I have a nomination for moderator?
I move to nominate Greg Im as moderator.
I second.
Are there any other nominations for moderator? Okay. If you would all use the white voting card to indicate your vote. All in favor of Greg Im for moderator? Opposed? Mr. Im, your podium.
You want me to just read it? Yeah. Okay. I, Greg Im, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Maine, so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof, and that I'll faithfully discharge to the best of my abilities the duties incumbent on me as moderator of the Maine School Administrative District Number 35 budget meeting on May 13th, 2024, according to the Constitution and the laws of the state of Maine.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for showing up tonight and participating in this budget meeting. My first order of business is to swear in the ballot clerks. And I'm going to represent to this audience that shortly before the meeting, I met with the ballot clerks out in the lobby, and they took a very similar oath to what I just took. And again, if anybody has an objection to me doing that earlier, it's just a matter of efficiency. But if anybody has an objection, I'm more than happy to swear them in again. Okay, seeing no objections, we'll consider them sworn in. Next order of business is to establish the rules of procedure. I'm going to be generally guided by the Maine Moderator's Manual, which is the guide that most moderators use for all town meetings and school budget meetings in the state. Also, by law, a person who's not registered to vote in one of the district towns is not allowed to speak at the meeting without consent of 2/3 of the voters here. However, there may be some administrators who are not registered voters who don't live in the district, who may be needed to answer questions, provide information, and for that limited purpose, I'm going to ask for the meeting's general consent to allow those people to speak just to answer questions and provide information. If any of them wanted to speak for or against a motion, this is not what this covers, and we'd take that up separately as it comes up. Any objection to letting non-resident administrators address the meeting for informational purposes? Okay, seeing none, it will be that way. So this is a meeting of the voters of the district. And you guys are the legislative body of the district, and this is your meeting. And the task at this meeting is to adopt a school budget that will be voted on June 11th at local polling places. And the agenda for the meeting is set forth in the warrant, or I think it's reprinted in the booklet that was distributed up front. So briefly, as an overview, I don't want to take too much time on the ground rules. But this is how it'll go. I'm going to take up each article in turn. After I read the article, I'll look for a motion and a second. After we get those, I'll open up the floor for discussion. I think we have a microphone. Are we recording? So you should use the microphone to be, yeah. So please, this microphone here, please come down and use it just so you can be, your remarks can go on the record. When I recognize you, state your name and the town you're from. All remarks should be relevant to the motion on the floor. If necessary, we'll impose some time limits, but we'll take that up as it comes. I'm going to give you one key piece of guidance. Sometimes we can talk a lot about a motion or an article, and we can talk a lot, and we can talk a lot more, and then you find that people are saying the same things over and over again. You're kind of tired of that. So there's a way to end debate and go right to a vote. You just have to say, I move the previous question, or there are no magic words. You can just say, can we stop talking and vote? This is not a normal motion because it's really cutting off people from talking. So it does require a 2/3 vote. But you may make that motion at any time. Let's see. We know we're voting by cards, and after discussion, we'll vote by cards, show of cards, and I'll declare the results. And then we'll just keep moving on through this. All right. All right, let's go. So, Article 1, shall the district be authorized to expend $16,534,247 for regular instruction?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Thank you. So Article 1 has been moved and seconded, so I'm going to open up the floor for discussion. Is there any discussion on Article 1 or questions? Yes, sir. If you can state your name and town, that'd be great.
Yellow. Yellow.
Can somebody?
It's not working.
All right.
It's working now? I'll get it close then so you can hear me. First, I'd like to know what is the procedure for a motion to amend?
I move to amend the article, and it's by changing the dollar amount, and you're allowed to lower the dollar amounts. You're not allowed to increase these.
And that's during this discussion.
Yes.
Will I make a motion to amend, please?
And in what way?
I would like to reduce the dollar amount to last year's number of $15,637,772. And the I believe that was a second.
Was that a second? Okay, sorry, it's hard to hear. So I'm going to open up the floor for discussion, and you're going to speak first.
Yeah, the whole reason is the 6% increase for South Berwick and the 4% increase for Elliott is just getting to be too much for us taxpayers. We have a lot of fixed income people, and they just can't afford these numbers. Last year, you got a ridiculous amount of money in addition to the previous year, so we'd really like to try and hold you to last year's numbers. And I know it's going to take some really brave decisions to not take a beating on the students. I don't want to take a beating on the teachers, but somehow we have to live within our means. I'll just leave it simple at that. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me just be clear. We are discussing the motion to amend. We're not voting on the article itself. And we're going to vote eventually on the article on the motion to amend, and then we'll go from there. So is there any other discussion or questions on the motion to amend the dollar amount down to $15.6 million? All right, seeing none, we're going to vote, and this is not going to end this article. We're going to vote on the motion, shall we amend the dollar amount in Article 1 before we consider it as amended, okay? So all those in favor of changing the dollar amount of Article 1 to $15,637,772 signify by raising your card. Thank you. Opposed? Oof. Let me see the yeses again. And the noes. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I get one of the ballot clerks to, or some of the ballot clerks to come in and count? Because I don't want to call this one. Oh, you guys are sitting right here. I'm sorry. those in favor of the motion to amend, raise your cards and please leave them up. All those opposed? Okay, so the results, I'm sorry, I could have told you to put your hands down a second ago. The results are 59 yes and 62 no, so the noes carry, and the motion to amend is defeated.
Mr. Moderator, I
Yes,
would like
sir.
to challenge that vote, please. Can we go by secret ballot, please?
Yeah, so we can vote by written ballot if 10% of you want to do that. Can we have a show of hands of people who want to do this by written? That's enough, thank you. So we are,
It's going to be a long night, so we might as well just get used to it.
that's fine. So we are on the motion. So the motion to amend didn't pass. We're on the motion as originally written here, and I think so. We're discussing that article now, and I think I'll turn to the board to make some comment on this.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to just give an explanation on the warrant article as written. This article,
I challenged the vote, and we should immediately...
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We immediately should be
I'm
having
sorry.
the,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just
paper
lost my
ballots,
mind
we
here.
can count these
Apologize.
up.
Apologize. Okay. So we are going to vote again. What's that? Right. So we're going to vote by secret ballot. The ballot boxes are down here. Did everyone get one ballot when they checked in? Okay. Do we have other ballots to use for this? Okay. So I'm going to defer to the clerks on how they want to distribute the ballots, but once everyone has a ballot, we'll take a little break and everyone can come down and drop them in these boxes here. Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Moderator? Can we
Yes.
be clear to the audience that this is to either accept the amendment or deny the amendment? That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I was going to wait till most of these ballots were out. Oh, people are voting now? Okay, so a yes vote will change the dollar amount of Article 1 to 15.6 million. A no vote will leave the dollar amount at 16.5 million as written. Oh, they're bringing up that.
Basically, we've made an amendment to Article 1, which reduces the amount. So this would be either for or against the amendment.
When we, what? When, I'm sorry, after this vote, nobody should have a ballot, and the next written ballot will distribute other things. Yeah, so this vote again, a yes vote, the motion is to amend the dollar amount downwards of Article 1. A yes vote changes the dollar amount to 15.6 million. A no vote leaves it the way it's written at 16.5 million. Is that okay? Yes. So it says article blank. Okay, if you want to mark it, well, for this one, let's just vote, drop the ballots in, and no one should have a ballot after we vote. And then the next one, I'll give a uniform instruction on marking that. I didn't know they had that blank on there. Yeah, I was going to wait for them to come down a little further.
I had another question come up. Can I ask it?
Yes.
One of the gentlemen behind me was saying, the question is, will these ballots be destroyed And if somebody gives a subsequent ballot, will they end up getting confused back here? And I don't think that's the case,
Well,
right?
we would separate after we vote, we're going to take them and just set them aside.
Thank you.
If I could ask one of the ballot clerks to get the voters on stage. Is there anyone who hasn't voted who wants to vote? Okay, I'm going to close the polls and ask the ballot clerks to count the ballots. Okay, thanks for your patience. The results are 63 yes and 65 no, so the motion to amend fails. So we're back to the original Article 1 as written. And we're going to discuss that now, because that's been moved and seconded. So,
I'd like to read an explanation of the warrant article, please. This article provides funding for all elementary and secondary instruction, the Gifted and Talented Program, and the English Language Learners Program. The increases in salaries and benefits for staff in the current year resulted in an overall increase in expenditures for regular instruction of $896,475, or 5.73%.
is there any other discussion on Article 1? Yes. Yeah, the results were 63 yes, 65 no. Welcome. Yes.
Tamara Steinhauer, South Berwick. I just have asking for clarification. Do people who are not registered to vote in our district, are they voting
They're-
tonight? Okay.
They're not.
And
voting.
number 2 is a point of order. I think everyone here is allowed an opinion. They should not be heckled or belittled or heckled. It wasn't a sneeze. So the gentleman who made the motion was, I think, ridiculed by someone right back there. So I think if that happens again, we all need to be spoken to like we're kindergartners and told to treat people with respect.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear any negative comments. So
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. The gentleman up here is disorderly and unruly, and I ask that he get dismissed.
I think we're fine.
Paul Steinhauer, South Berwick.
He's not disrupting me, so I'm okay.
Just a matter of time.
I'll take that up as needed. Is there any other discussion on Article 1?
Point of order. The gentleman just previously identified as making rude and vulgar hand gestures to me.
Hey, whoa. Let's just settle down, and we got to get through. We have a lot of articles to get through, so let's get through this meeting.
We certainly do, and I think as residents of this town, we need to be polite, courteous, and have patience with one another. But when you display vulgar gestures, I don't appreciate it, and no one here is worthy of receiving that. And I would think that the gentleman would be treating others as he
All right.
would want to be treated.
Let's leave it at that. Let's all try to be nice, all right? So, again, any more discussion on Article 1? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote on Article 1 in the amount as written. So it's in the amount of $16,534,247. So all those in favor, we're going to vote by card. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Oh. I think I would call the yeses. I'll call it in favor of the yeses, but it's close, so I'm gonna ask for another count. I'm very sorry. So again, we're gonna count the yeses first. So it's calisthenics. A yes vote now for hands that are up will approve Article 1 in the amount written, $16,534,247. A no vote will not approve that, Article 1. You guys have all the yeses?
have a statement to make anyway.
Yeah, we're just voting.
I'm letting you vote. I will discuss after the vote is taken.
Point of order.
The speaker has not identified himself as others have been requested. The speaker has not spoken yet.
Okay, again, I'm sorry. Thanks for your patience. So the results are 70 yes, 61 no. So Article 1 passes in the amount as written. Okay, Article 2. Article 2. Shall the district be authorized to expend $7,342,423 for special education?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion on Article 2?
I'd like to give an explanation.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
This article provides funding for all special education services. This warrant article saw a significant increase of $966,632, or 15.16%. One explanation for this increase is the identification rate of special education students and an increase in the number of students that need to be placed out of district. Another reason for this increase was the proposed transfer of our school year-only IEP coordinator to a full-time assistant director of special education. The rest of the increase are the result of salaries and benefits increases for staff.
Thank you. Is there other discussion? Yes, sir.
Just a point of order. My name is David Sanborn, South Berwick. This is not necessarily about the item that we're voting on here. However, I guess what I'm wondering is, did we all give permission to be filmed when we came into this meeting?
It's a public meeting.
It's a public meeting. I get that, and I understand that that we are being recorded if we get up to speak. But there's a woman in the front row here who is turning around and filming everybody in their seats, and I guess I would like to understand the reasoning for that.
I think we're okay.
We're okay?
It's just
All
a
right.
public meeting.
All right.
Would you like to speak to Article 2, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Appreciate all the time. I don't quite understand how the votes change, but I'd like to make a motion to amend, please.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the. I'm Richard Bernier. I live in South Berwick. Been here for 10 years. I'd like to make a motion to amend the Article 2 to $6,375, $791, please.
I'm sorry, say that again. 6 million?
$6,375,791. That's last year's number,
Okay.
and I think that we ought to be able to live within our means. And this is really getting hard for all these taxpayers to pay for. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Can I get a second on that? Is there a second? Thank you. What was? He said his name and. Okay, so we have a motion to amend Article 2 to reduce it to $6,375,791. Is there discussion on the motion to amend Article 2?
Hi, my name is Mallory Cook, South Berwick. Just a question on the process with this. If it seems like the pattern is going to be that every article will be suggested to be amended, isn't the process that if the article does not pass, it automatically would revert to the number from last year anyways?
No, that's not true. It's
Okay.
what this meeting decides.
Got it. And so if an article were to not pass this evening, what happens with? that particular article.
If this was if it were a no vote,
Yep.
then I would entertain a motion for the article in a different number.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
So we're discussing the motion to amend Article 2 downwards. Any other discussion? Are you coming down to sit or talk? Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Carol Smith. I'm from Elliott, and I'm against amending the Article 2 for reason of this gentleman speaking about living in our means. As someone who works for the school and works with special ed students, I deserve to be paid a living wage so that I can live within my means.
Talking here.
So I'm against amending it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Lisa McGinnis from Elliott. I totally respect that and would support what you're saying. We support our teachers 100%. On the other hand, I think that there's other ways of being able to get you the rightful salary that you're entitled, such as administrative costs. And I don't think that increasing our taxes and leaving that burden on the taxpayers is really the route that needs to be taken. I think that exercising our brains that we all have within the school board and within those who are working fiscally for us, which, by the way, one of my problems with this thing is that there is real no fiscal transparency with any of these items at all in this budget. And we just exponentially increased our budget last year, and this, further raising of funds ends up falling on us. This would amount to, if everything got passed, we would be looking at a 5% or more increase to our taxes as citizens. So I know that this could be minimized and looked at, in different ways, that this is just, some silly, we're not supporting certain things. That's not it. I think we need to do our jobs. My household, if I don't get a raise in my household, I still have to, survive off the same number of my income. There's no reason why we have to continuously give handouts from our tax dollars, why we have to burden ourselves as taxpayers and have more coming out of our pockets in order to support that. The school and the people who are working on this budget need to do their job, need to dig their heels in a little bit deeper and take into consideration not just the students and the teachers, which we all love and support, but also for us taxpayers, and come up with more creative ways of figuring out how to deal with this budget. So I am not in support.
Thank you. Okay, so we're on the motion to amend Article 2. Any other discussion on the motion to amend? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote. Again, we're voting on just changing the dollar amount of Article 2. A yes vote will change Article 2 to $6,375,700 $375,791. A no vote will leave it as written, $7.3 million. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to amend? Thank you. Let's take a look at the opposed. I'm going to call it opposed. I'm going to say the motion failed. So we're back to the motion as it's written, and we're discussing that. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Al Courier, Elliott. Just got a question. On the voting, could be my fault. I've only been around for a little while. The first round on Article 1 was 121 for a head count. Round 2 on Article 121 was 128. Vote 3, Article 1 was 131. Do we have an actual number of people who've been checked in? Can I get a total so we know that we're not going over the total or below? We can go below the total. You don't have to vote, but if I get a 140 out of a 131, so that should be getting updated so we know the actual count. They can show up as late as they want, but you guys gotta know what your counts are, because you're checking them in, right? You should be able to tell me a check. 5 people showed up late. Okay, give me the number. All right, that's a duty. If not, that could be a bias for a suit. You guys are just leaving yourself wide open.
Any other discussion on the article to amend? On the motion to amend? Apologies.
The
Yes, sir.
motion to amend has already been defeated, I understand.
I'm sorry, I'm just
You're
losing
you're
my mind.
correct. We're actually talking about the motion now for the
Thank you,
article
thank
itself.
you.
And again, I got to reiterate here that I've been going to the school boards and I've been paying attention to a lot of things that's been happening with the school board. And the process of this whole fiasco actually is not in favor of the taxpayers at all. The taxpayers are not even part of the consideration in any way, shape, or means with this school board. You come down here to the school board and you try to make a conversation or you try to ask a question, you get 3 minutes. You get 3 minutes and then you don't get an answer back. You don't even get a text back. You don't get an email back. So this is what this is about, is trying to get you guys to understand that there's a voice here. The voice is the taxpayers. And we're getting fed up with always having to contribute more. We have a town revitalization plan that's coming up. That's gonna cost us more money. We also have a town hall that we're trying to renovate. That's gonna cost us more money. We have a reevaluation of all our taxes. That's gonna cost us more money. We don't have a Hussey Seating here. We don't have Pratt Whitney here. We don't have any of the big industries that it takes to keep these budgets going. You guys have to rise up. We can't keep paying this. We can't. Year after year after year after year, the money goes up. It goes up and it goes up and it goes up. Not once have you guys taken the taxpayers into consideration. Not once have you even thought about any of us that have to live within our means. Not once do you even seem to care. So we're going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep challenging the votes, because the vote's close, and it seems to be changing, and maybe we need to change the procedure. Maybe people need to actually pay attention other than your 3 clerks here, and somebody needs to pay attention to what's going on, because it's a lot closer, and I don't believe the numbers that are coming out. So I urge everybody to vote this down right now, and we'll come up with another number and another amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we are voting on Article 2 as written. Any other discussion on that? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of Article 2 as written? Thank you. Opposed? Let me see the yeses again, please. I'm sorry? And the noes. I think the yeses have it, but I don't want to call it because it's close. I don't want to be wrong. I'm sorry? Yeah, the vote hasn't, there's no vote to challenge because there hasn't been a result declared. So I'm going to ask the ballot clerks to count. I'm sorry, we're voting on, this is the vote on Article 2 to expend $7,342,423 for special education. And so all those in favor, if you can leave your hands up and I'll have the ballot clerks count.
question, will we get a head count before we get a tally of the people here voting tonight?
Yeah, I'll ask her.
That's right, that's good math.
So to answer the one question, we don't have a tally of the number of voters who have registered. They're counting them and people keep checking in. So, but the results of the vote are 81 yes and 65 no. So Article 2 passes as written. Okay, Article 3. Article 3, shall the district be authorized to expend $79,400 for career and technical education?
I move the article as written.
Second.
All right, someone like to speak to?
I'd like to give an explanation, please. This article provides funding for all vocational education services. Most of our students who participate in this program do so through Sanford Regional Vocational Center, but we send approximately 30 students to Somersworth and Dover for programs not available at Sanford Regional Vocational Center. There's an increase to this warrant article in the current year due to the shift in the formula for Sanford, who charges a small amount for students attending due to the cost being greater than what Sanford receives for subsidy for those students, and to account for increased interest in the Dover programs.
Is there any other discussion on Article 3? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your consideration. I'd like to make a motion to amend this number back to last year's number, and that would be $49,400. And again, I wish that we could end up calculating these numbers with you, because I don't know why your numbers keep going up and ours keep going down. It does not make sense. I count over 60 on our side, and it doesn't seem to make sense here whatsoever. So the number needs, the process needs to be a lot better than this.
Is there a second on the motion to amend? Thank you. Sir, I think on that last vote, I could have called it by sight, and I didn't because it was close enough, but I'm pretty confident that that was a vote in favor by the meeting. So any other discussion? So now we're discussing the Article 3 motion to amend, cutting it $30,000 to $49,400. Any other discussion on the motion to amend? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote on the motion. Again, not voting on Article 3 finally, voting on the motion to amend. A yes vote brings the dollar amount down to $49,400. A no vote leaves it as written, $79,400. So all those in favor of changing the dollar amount, yes? Thank you. All those opposed? Okay, I'm going to call that the noes have it. So the motion to amend is defeated. We're back to the motion, the original motion of Article 3 as written. Is there any discussion on the Article 3 as written? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote on Article 3 in the amount written. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? I'm going to say that the yeses have it. So Article 3 passes in the amount written. Okay, let's kind of hold it down just so we can get through this evening. Article 4, shall the district be authorized to expend $1,141,134 for other instruction?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Okay, would someone like to speak to that?
Yeah, I'll provide an explanation. This article provides funding for all the co-curricular and extracurricular programs, specifically elementary and secondary co-curricular activities and trips, and funding for the MHS auditorium. This warrant article has a $66,651 increase from funding compared to the prior year, or a 6.2% increase. The increase in this article can mainly be attributed to new after-school opportunities being added to the budget for our students.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on Article 4? Yes, sir.
Paul Steinhauer from South Berwick. While I can appreciate the offering of new curriculum and new opportunities for students, as taxpayers, year after year after year, the administrators and the school board continue to increase the budget by millions of dollars with very, very little visibility, accountability, and transparency to the taxpayers. When I took a look at the 122-page budget booklet and tried to map those costs to the articles, very difficult unless impossible to do so. So the process is flawed, taxpayer input is ignored, and in my house, when my costs go up, I look elsewhere to cut costs, and I'm failing to see any kind of fiscal restraint or fiscal conservation among the board members, because it's not coming out of only your pockets, it's coming out of our pockets. So you spend and spend and spend. And until I see some restraint, and I see some real hard zero-based budgeting, which you say you do, but I find that difficult to believe. Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make an amendment to this Article 4 to change the dollar amount to $1,074,483 for the aforementioned reasons.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you. So we're on a motion to amend Article 4 down to $1,074,483. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Yes, sir.
David Rummery, Elliott. So I've listened to a lot of these and a lot of the faculty, and I understand everybody wants to make a living. Who doesn't? Everybody wants a nice, good living wage. I'm a disabled veteran. So I'm a veteran, combat veteran of the USMC, U.S. Marines, and U.S. Army. My pay goes up less than the inflation every year. I cannot go and do any overtime. I can't go get a different job. I can't get a side job. My ups aren't keeping up with the taxes. Now, I understand some of you here can appreciate how I lost my youth and my ability to work. Many of you cannot understand this. So I just don't have those options. And I wished everybody, hell, could make $1 million a year. I wish the kids could have the best buses, the best everything. But the fact of the matter is, right now in this country, this is not a time to splurge. Everybody's hurting. The cost of everything is going up, and we all understand that. It's called a time for cutback. I know I'm cutting back. I have to cut back. I have to do without. What I'm asking is for a little concession. You've had some ups in some of these, the faculty, all this stuff like that. I'm asking to please meet halfway. Don't kill us all. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other discussion on the article to amend?
Just to-
Discussion on the, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Yep. Tamara Steinhauer, South Berwick. Are any of the other instruction grant funded?
Can someone answer that question? Ryan?
We do not really have any grant-funded other instruction. Those are after-school opportunities for students.
Okay, so are there other programs that are grant funded in the budget?
Not that you're approving tonight. Those grant-funded programs are outside of the budget that you're approving.
So have any grants been used? You've evaluated whether they should continue or not. Is that passed on to the taxpayer when the grant is complete?
I'm not sure what you're asking. So we have several grants that we get from the state and federal governments.
Right.
We have our local entitlement special education grant, which we use every year.
Okay.
We have our ESEA, which is Title I, which is for our students who have difficulty reading or difficulty in math. We pay some teachers out of that.
Okay.
We have our Title II grant, which is for professional development for teachers. We have a Title IV grant, which is used primarily for students. But those are our main grants. We do get federal and state funding through for our school lunch program as well.
And do you expend more than the grant amount?
You cannot overexpend the grant amount.
Okay,
You can
thanks.
only spend the grant amount. I mean, if you overexpend, you would have to put local dollars in, and we do not do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 4? Again, it's the motion to amend Article 4. Yeah, try to project. Okay. Did you hear the question? So the question was about asking for an explanation about the $66,000 increase that was supposed to be for after-school opportunities. Is that fair?
So there were several new opportunities added for students. One being the middle school lacrosse program. That has been 100% booster funded the last several years. That has now been added to the local budget for next year because after it has been run for 3 years successfully paid for by the boosters, the school board then votes to take on that program, which they did. Another opportunity, the auditorium that you're sitting in needed some lighting and sound upgrades. The district elected to borrow money to be able to do that, and then took some of that money, and now we pay teachers stipends, which we used to be able to take out of the gate from our auditorium. We now pay teacher stipends to be able to keep the musicals, the plays, and things that we do. We added foreign language clubs at our elementary schools and middle school, which we did not have previously. You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We're on the motion to amend Article 4. Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote on the motion to amend Article 4 down to $1,074,483. A vote yes now reduces the amount of Article 4. A vote against leaves it as written. So all those in favor of the motion, which reduces the amount, please raise your cards. Thank you. Opposed? Okay, so the noes have it. So we're back to Article 4 as written. And any discussion on Article 4 as written? Yes.
Hi, Melissa Costello, South Berwick. The one thing that is concerning me about this article is you want to spend $1,141,134 on other instruction co-curricular and extracurricular activities. In Article 3, you only want to spend $79,400 for career and technical education. When I was in school, co-curricular and extracurricular activity programs did not shape my future. Education did. If we spent more on the career and technical education of opportunities, exposure, maybe we wouldn't have to deal with the uprising costs of shipping our kids off to Sanford or to Dover for career, technical, and trade exposure. So I would suggest that people vote no for the $1 million for other instruction so that maybe it could be better utilized for another category.
Thank you.
Just for clarity, the state funding formula includes vocational. This is the additional money beyond the state funding formula.
So any other, again, we're on Article 4. Any other discussion on Article 4? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote. All those a vote yes is in favor of the Article 4 and the dollar amount written. So all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Let's try that again. In favor? Opposed? Yeah, I know. Opposed? Okay. The yeses have it. So Article 4 passes in the amount written. Article 5. Shall the district be authorized to expend $3,748,909 for student and staff support?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Okay. Would a board member like to speak to that?
This article provides funding for all student and staff support services such as guidance, nursing, library, curriculum and staff development, technology, and assessment. This warrant article has a 9.93% or $338,574 increase in the current year. One of the main factors of relating to the increase is the turnover of certain positions, which resulted in hiring of new employees who were higher on the salary schedule. The rest of the increase can be attributed to planned salary and benefit increases for our staff.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 5? Yes, sir.
Paul Steinhauer from South Berwick. Thank you very much for the explanation and background on Article 5. When I hear turnover, that's concerning. Our district is very top-heavy with administrators. Perhaps they want to take a closer look as to why the turnover. For staff support, I look to the teachers' union. What concessions are they willing to make? And if they're not making any concessions, why are the taxpayers being burdened with a 9.93% increase? At this time, I'd like to make an amendment, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
On this Article 5, I'd like to make the amendment to change the amount to $3,410,335.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a motion to amend Article 5 down to $3,410,335. Is there discussion on the motion to amend? Okay, seeing none. All those, again, a vote yes now reduces the amount of Article 5. A vote no leaves it at the amount written. So all those in favor of amending Article 5? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, so the noes have it, and the motion to amend fails. So we're back to Article 5 in the amount written. Any more discussion on Article 5? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Article 5? Okay, opposed? Okay, Article 5 carries as written. Article 6, shall the district be authorized to expend $1,181,793 for system administration?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Would you like to speak to that?
So this article provides funding for central administration, including the school board, superintendent, and business office. This warrant article had an increase of $129,484, or 12.3%. This increase can be primarily attributed to increases in the district's property and casualty insurance premiums and the addition of a new position which will handle the main care billing for the district.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 6? Yes, sir.
Paul Steinhauer from South Berwick. I know when I shop for insurance or tires or interest rates, I do a significant amount of research. With a 12.3% interest increase in this, I question how much research was actually done to make sure that the district got the best insurance rates. So I'm not convinced that there was any kind of due diligence here. So, Mr. Moderator, I make a motion to amend the amount to $1,052,309.
Thank you. Is there a
And
second? Would you like to speak to the motion? Yes, sir.
David Sanborn, South Berwick. Dateline is on tonight. I don't know if any of you are fellow fans of true crime, but I'd really appreciate it if the Dog and Pony Show could just, let the votes proceed as written. Thank you.
People at this meeting have a right to speak, so I'll continue discussion here. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Again, somehow this process needs to be simplified. The taxpayers need to be included, and they're definitely not included. So somehow in the future, we need to figure out how to work together to make this all work. You guys need to be closer to live within your budget. I can't say that enough. We've got so many people on fixed incomes that are selling their houses because they can't afford the taxes anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
David Rummery, Elliott. Again, I don't take kindly, sir, to Dog and Pony Show. You laughing at me?
Let's hey, address me, please.
Don't laugh at me. Now, if you think trying to keep the taxes lower so people can live or live decently is a Dog and Pony Show, hats off to you. You must be making an awful lot of money. Or you're just not thinking enough. I don't know. But I don't take kindly to it, Mr. Moderator. Calling it a Dog and Pony Show. And you're going to say nothing?
I've already spoken to that.
Yeah, this is the second time he's opened his mouth, unwarrantedly.
Okay, so we're on the motion to amend, Article 6. Any other discussion on that? Okay, again, a yes vote reduces the dollar amount of Article 6 to $1,052,309. No vote keeps it as written. So all those in favor of amending Article 6? Okay, opposed? Okay, so the noes have it, and the motion fails. We're back to Article 6 as written. Any more discussion on Article 6 as written? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Article 6 as written? Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. The yeses have it, so Article 6 passes in the amount written. Article 7, shall the district be authorized to expend $1,967,603 for school administration?
I move the article as written.
I'll second.
Would someone care to speak to that?
Yes, I'll provide an explanation. This article provides funding for school building administration. This warrant article has an increase of $74,920 from the prior year, or 3.96%. The primary reason for the increase was cost of living adjustments.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 7? Yes.
Point of order. I'd like to make a motion to amend this article for reasons really already discussed. we all have cost of living. And the state funding that's already provided to the school system has already been parsed from our pockets. We're funding through state taxes, income taxes, that's already funding the programs as stated. Again, I am not in favor of an increase in taxes in order to support this amendment. Again, I think that your cost of living increase means a cost of living decrease for taxpayers. And again, I think it's a line item that needs to be addressed in a different manner as opposed to us as the taxpayers being responsible for that. So my motion is to stay with the previous budget amount, and I will get you that number. So this would be for Article 7 to go to the amount of $1,892,683.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. So again, the motion is to amend, for those who didn't hear, the motion is to amend the dollar amount in Article 7 down to $1,892,683. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? I'm sorry, again, a yes vote will decrease the dollar amount to $1.8 million. A no vote keeps it as written. So all those in favor of amending Article 7? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, so the noes have it. We're back to Article 7 in the amount written. Any discussion on Article 7 as written? Okay, all those in favor of Article 7?
I have discussion, please. May I?
Thank you. Opposed? I'm sorry, is there confusion? I can't see anybody with a question.
It's okay, it can wait. I was at the microphone, it's fine.
Okay, so all those opposed? Thank you. So the yeses carry, and Article 7 passes in the amount written. Article 8, shall the district be authorized to expend $2,198,817 for transportation and buses?
I move the article as written.
Second.
I'll provide an explanation. This article provides funding for all student transportation to and from school, including special needs students, out-of-district placements, and transportation to vocational educational centers. This warrant article has an increase of $43,852, or 2.03% from the prior school year due to salary and benefit increases for the drivers, which were partially offset by the reduction of positions due to consolidation of some of the bus runs.
Thank you. Is there other discussion on Article 8? Yes.
Ruchi Rumry Elliott. Can you please describe this out-of-district placement?
Can someone address the question about explaining the out-of-district placement?
So can you hear me?
Yep.
So when the unique needs and natures of a student,
Just a little closer.
not good at this. When the unique nature and needs of a student's disability, when we can't serve them in the regular public school, we're required to search for an out-of-district placement for that student and transport there and back.
Required by law?
Required by federal law
Federal law.
and
Okay.
state special ed rules.
Regardless of the destination?
I would say that when we go over an hour and a half bus ride, then that placement really isn't an option. So I wouldn't say regardless of the destination, because you have to be thoughtful about where the kid goes to school and how close they are to home.
Approximately how many students do you have in this program?
Let's see. To graduate, so You have right somewhere between 20 and 23 right now. You just said 2 age out, so you're right around 21, 20 total students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we're on Article 8 for transportation. Yes, sir.
Paul Steinhauer from South Berwick. I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the district owns the buses or leases the buses, so we own them. So 2 questions that I'd like to ask. Relative to owning the budgets, has there been any research or analysis on farming that out to a bus company that we do not own them, so that we have another company operate the buses? And number 2, I see a lot of parents drop their children off at school and pick them up from school. Has there been any counts or any analysis as to ridership? Is it up? Is it down? Is it flat? I'd like to have some answers, please.
Sure. For the second question, we have to be prepared that every child rides the bus. They have that right due to district policy and also state law. The other question is looking at the feasibility of an outside organization coming in and running our bus a transportation company. We looked at that a couple of years ago. It was not fiscally responsible to do that at that time.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions on Article 8?
I think you may hear me from here, please. My name is Malcolm Kenny. I'm from South Berwick. Are we still leasing the property for the storage and maintenance of our school transportation? Second part of that question is, can you tell me the cost of that lease, please?
Can everyone in the back, did everyone hear him? Okay.
Yes, we still rent that property in Berwick, and the cost is about $50,000 a year.
So I recognize you. I'm sorry, you had a follow-up question?
When we started leasing that property, there was fuel associated with it also. Excuse me. Our first lease was $32,000 a year, and we're up to 50-something at this point. Has there been any interest at looking at getting rid of that lease and building our own facility? It would have been paid for over and over. It's something that should be looked at.
100% we've looked into that, and we've had conversations this year regarding that, yes.
So I'll recognize you.
Lisa McGinnis from Elliott. So it's to my understanding that enrollment has been decreasing over the last several years within the district. And I'm wondering if there can be numbers provided that explains that to all those here voting tonight, because enrollment numbers are decreasing while we're supposed to be supporting more. So I'd like that to be addressed. And just a note, Maine, for all those who don't follow, Maine scored dead last in the entire country for education. And I have been paying attention to this and following it. Our district has a survey on their website, MSAD 35, that explains to you the increase in depressive anxiety disorders and transgender issues, drug abuse. I think that's something that should be paid attention to. I think we should be focusing on teaching our children math, science, social studies, and English. And stop trying to let the school parent our children. Enrollment has decreased, and I would like to get some numbers. There's some statistics on that for at least people to be aware. And then on that note, I'd like to move to make an amendment to remain at the budget that we had this year. And again, I'll pull that number up for the record. It would be a motion to amend to $2,154,965.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to amend Article 8 down to $2,154,965. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Yes, sir? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, we'll back up a little. Do you want to talk about pupil counts?
Sure. Our ED 279, which is publicly available to any of you, if you can go to the state's website, our attending enrollment as of October 2023 was 2,120 students. Our attending enrollment as of October 2022 was 2,123 students. So when you talk about decreasing enrollment, it was 3 students.
Could you just clarify if this is for the entire district and what schools those include? I would imagine it would be a combination of Elliott and South Berwick.
That's pre-K through 12. That's
Okay.
correct.
Well, I can verify a decrease of enrollment where in my small circle of friends, I've had at least 3 families in my network pull their children out of the school system and opt for either homeschooling or private school. So I understand these are numbers, and I thank you for providing them, because I realize that. But we also have to understand that there's a population change. So it's just, to me, sounds like the numbers haven't changed very much in terms of budget issues. But thank you for providing the information.
Rob again of South Berwick. When I see this, when I come home at the end of the day and I travel from Manchester or South Portland and I see the buses in front of me, I see them leaving the high school, they're mostly empty. They're really empty. I mean, I don't know why we're sending out full buses and asking for another multi-million dollars when we're running empty buses around the school, around the town. I think that we could downsize this stuff. I think that we could make more sense of just blindly wasting money. So if we don't have the call or the roll, yes, we need 30, 45 student buses, whatever it is, every single day to run 2 students. It just seems physically irresponsible to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So again, we're on the motion to amend Article 8 downwards. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Tom? Yes.
Just taking your matter into consideration, last year we consolidated 3 bus runs. So we had 3 additional bus runs, and those went through the enrollment on the buses as you suggested, and we consolidated down. We removed 3 bus runs. So that was noted in the description for the article. Thank you.
Okay. Again, yes.
Okay, Carol Smith from Elliott. As a parent who has a child who rides the bus to and from school, to consolidate even more as it is, his bus route will increase anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes that it already is, so that he can commute all around Elliott coming from the high school. Also, as a middle school employee, those children get on the bus, they already have to transfer here at the high school to then commute all around South Berwick to drop. So if we consolidate buses because they're not completely full and everything, we got to think of the mental health of the students that are riding the bus. They've been in school 7.5 hours. Riding on a bus for another hour is inconceivable, and I am against it.
Thank you. Again, any other discussion on the motion to amend Article 8? Okay, seeing none, again, we're voting on the motion to amend. A yes vote will decrease Article 8 to $2,154,965. No vote will leave it as written. So all those in favor of amending Article 8? Thanks. Opposed? Okay, so the noes have it, and we're back to the article as written. Would anybody care to discuss the article in its original form? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 8 as written? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 8 carries in the amount written. Article 9, shall the district be authorized to expend $3,587,296 for facilities maintenance?
I move the article as written.
I second.
Would anybody care to speak to that?
I'd like to provide an explanation. This article provides funding for the maintenance and operation of all school buildings and grounds, including custodial services, building repairs, utilities, insurance, building security, and minor construction projects. This warrant article saw a decrease of $556,986 from the prior year. The decrease in the facilities maintenance can be attributed to a significant decrease in the district's planned facility projects for the 2024-2025 school year.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 9? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 9 as written? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 9 passes as written. Article 10, shall the district be authorized to expend $0 for debt service and other commitments?
I move the article as written.
I second.
Any discussion?
Yes, this article provides for debt service on outstanding bonds. The school board does not have any long-term bonds outstanding, therefore this article is 0.
Any discussion on Article 10? Controversial? No. All those in favor of Article 10? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 10 passes in the amount recommended, written. Article 11, shall the district be authorized to expend $50,000 for all other expenditures?
I move the article as written.
I second.
Would you like to say something
Yes.
to that?
This article provides funding for the school board contingency fund.
Okay. Any other discussion on Article 11? Yes.
Ruji Remery Elliott, can you describe what type of activities or other expenditures or what contingency funds would be used for?
Anybody?
That really would be for like an unforeseen emergency, for instance, if a boiler were to go down or something that we did not account for.
Wouldn't that come out of your maintenance budget?
Those are planned projects and planned upkeep of things. This would be something that would be out of the blue that we may not have budgeted for.
Can you provide more examples than just a boiler failure?
Sure. Probably 3 weeks ago, we had to dig up a significant portion of La Jeunesse Way because the sewer pipe coming out of the high school was leaking. We just got the first bill for that today. It was $32,000 just to move in the dirt and the trucks for the equipment to dig that up and to fix it. So that was an unplanned expense that we would need some set-aside funds to be able to pay for that.
Thank you.
And again, just to verify, that's not budgeted at all in your maintenance and operation of all school buildings and grounds, including custodial services, building repairs, utilities, insurance, and minor construction projects. There's no, you don't really have.
We have
like,
a capital plan that we follow. We have planned maintenance that we do, but situations such as that arise, like emergencies, we do need some funds available to be able to account for that.
And are they annotated during the course of the year? They're recorded?
Yes.
Available?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tamara Steinhauer, South Berwick. How much is in your reserve fund, your rainy day fund?
About $800,000.
And 50 grand couldn't come out of that?
By state law, we can only pay bills in the current year out of our current budget.
So then how will you ever use your reserves, your reserve money?
We would have to vote in a public meeting to expend more than we would bring in for revenue.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion on Article 11? Yes.
Marie Correa Elliott. I'm just making a point here. The last item was for maintenance and so forth, okay? And you reduced that amount, which I'm fine. But in the overall scheme of things, don't you think you should plan a little bit so that you do have this extra money for maintenance and repairs and things like that, as opposed to, you know, having these, just in case something breaks, we need to borrow it. And also, isn't insurance, you have money for insurance. Don't you file a claim and get your insurance money for these repairs? Just a point.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 11? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote on Article 11 in the amount written. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 11 carries as written. Okay, so the next articles are revenue articles. Article 12, shall the district appropriate $27,264,529.85 for the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act? And shall the district raise and assess $13,306,200 as the municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act in accordance with the Maine Revised Statutes Title 20A, Section 15688. So there are two columns of numbers. The column on the left is the amount appropriated under the state's EPS funding model, and the numbers on the right are the amounts that each town needs to contribute in order to be eligible, in order for the district to be eligible to receive state subsidy. There is a statutory explanation printed in italics there. I will spare you reading it unless someone would really like me to read it. I'll be happy to. Okay, the explanation is the district's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, is the amount of money determined by state law to be the minimum amount that the district must raise and assess in order to receive the full amount of state dollars. Kind of what I said differently. So, is there a motion for Article 12?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on Article 12? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 12 carries in the amounts written. Article 13, so by state law, this is required to be done by written ballot. So, Article 13, shall the district raise and appropriate $7,673,650 in additional local funds, which exceeds the state's Essential Programs and Services allocation model by $7,673,650, as required to fund the budget recommended by the school board? I'm going to read the statutory explanation at the very end. The additional local funds are those locally raised funds over and above the district's local contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, and local amounts raised for the annual payment on non-state funded debt service that will help achieve the district budget for educational programs. Is there a motion for Article 13?
I move the article as written.
I second.
Sir, would someone care to address Article 13? Or not? Okay, any other discussion for Article 13? Yes, sir.
Paul Steinhauer from South Berwick. On this article, it represents an 11.32% from last year as an increase. Can I get an explanation as to why the increase and what kinds of things in English can you explain that this article pays for? Thank you.
Do you care to respond?
So there is a bulleted list underneath on the next page after Article 13 that kind of gives a brief explanation of what you're asking. So like, for example, the state subsidy formula and the way it calculates how we should staff our buildings is based on the number of students. So I don't have the number right in front of me, but I think it's like 3.2 nurses. So the state subsidy formula says we should have 3.2 nurses. Wanting the best in this, like keep our students safe, we staff a full-time nurse in every building. To facilitate the opportunity for our students to maximize their educational experience, we provide a greater level of counseling services at our schools. EPS funds only about a quarter of what we do for extracurricular and co-curricular activities. When the state does the health insurance costs, when they do the reimbursement for our employees, it's generally capped at 19%. Our district costs are closer to 30%. There's just certain things that the way the state subsidy formula works that they don't fund fully, and that's what this article represents.
Thank you. Yes.
Tamara Steinhauer, South Berwick. I'm just curious, one of the bullet points says we provide more extensive transportation services. Wasn't there an article, Article 8, that raised funds for transportation?
I can answer that. Article 8 is about, Articles 1 through 11 are about expending, not raising funds.
Okay.
Would you clarify?
Yeah, so Article 1 through 11 are the 11 cost centers that the state wants the school budget to be laid out in. And articles, when we approve Articles 1 through 11, that's approving how much the school board can spend in each one of those categories. This article and the previous article are authorizing assessments, local assessments, to raise funds to support the budget.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Rob from South Berwick again. So the raising funds is still more taxes that we're going to end up having to pay. This is just getting mind-boggling. I also have a little procedural note. The last time we did the hand balance, many of these were passed in with both sides, and it clearly says tear down the middle. So people should only really put in one side or the other and not put both, because it's impossible for these ladies to do a good job counting. So if they could tear them in half and put one side in, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elliott. So the first articles were how you're going to spend the money. Is that correct?
The 1 through 11.
12 and 13 are how you're going to raise the money. What are the other options for raising money? Are there other ones?
So the district raises about almost $2.9 million in additional funds outside of what we're asking from the taxpayers or that we get from the state subsidy. A large portion of that is made up from tuition for students that attend from Rollinsford. But there's several other areas where we are charging for services, facility use. Main care is we have main care billing in here as well, which we're trying to do anything that we can do to raise money.
But this Article 13, if I understood correctly, is in addition to the required services by the state? That funding is over and above? Any of the required services? Is that what you said earlier,
the,
sir?
the required funding. So back in Article 12, the numbers on the right-hand side is what the towns need to raise in order to be eligible to receive state subsidy. The additional local funds are additional. Yeah.
But they're all, what you're explaining is that all the funding, both in Article 12 and Article 13, are allocated throughout Articles 1 through 11?
Not precisely. I'm sorry, is it okay if I answer? Okay. So, balancing a budget, you would think that the revenues equal the expenditures, but what's not in here is the things that Mr. Cormier was saying, like tuition receipts, use of fund balance, and other miscellaneous receipts that
And then
aren't shown here.
State money, which isn't shown here, right?
Yeah, the state
And then
money.
any grant money you're also receiving on top of this?
Yeah, I don't want
Is
to
that
speak
correct?
wrong.
Grant funding is not part of this article.
No. That's not my question.
Sure.
In addition to the funding that you're looking to raise in Article 12 in order to get the state matching money, and the funding that you're looking to raise in Article 13, which is an assessment, taxpayer money, you also get grants that are not shown anywhere in this document.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
That's
Okay.
correct.
So you don't actually enumerate the amount of grant funding that you get.
That was all posted on the district's website in the district's budget presentation.
And none of that grant money is included in the expenditure of any of the Articles 1 through 11. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Sorry? Are you educating me right now?
Okay, so we're still on Article 13. Is there any more discussion on Article 13? And I'm going to answer your one question about the state subsidy is the difference between, in Article 12, the 27, the bottom numbers, 27,264,000 minus 13,306. That's the state subsidy. So I don't know why they don't spell it out. This is, the state says present your budget this way, but they don't spell out the subsidy. So, I'm sorry, any other discussion on Article 13? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote, but I'm going to make sure, let's do this uniformly. Okay. So everybody, when you checked in, should have received a ballot. Is it labeled something? Article 14? Okay. Labeled Article 13. So we're going to use that ballot, and I don't think you have to mark them, so you tear them. So yes and no. Tear. If you're voting yes, put the yes in the box. Voting no, put no in the box. If you want to make life longer and have neutral vote, put both in. Okay, so we're gonna recess, and we're gonna allow the ballot clerks to go up and collect your ballots. Thank you. Is there anybody who hasn't voted who would like to vote? Have we missed any sections? Okay, I think everyone's voted, so I'm going to close the polls and ask the ballot clerks to count. Okay, so we'll come back to order. So the results of the vote are 123 yes, 60 no. So Article 13 carries as written. Article 14, shall the district authorize the school board to expend $37,831,622 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30, 2025 from the district's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, from local funds for non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of the schools. Is there a motion?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Any discussion on Article 14? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Article 14 as written? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, so Article 14 carries as written. Article 15, shall the district appropriate $289,677 for adult education and raise $122,579 as the local share, with authorization to expend any additional incidental or miscellaneous receipts in the interest and for the well-being of the adult education program. Is that a motion?
I move the article as written. Sorry.
I second.
Okay. All right, Article 15 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion about Article 15? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. Article 15 passes in the amount written. Article 16, in addition to amounts approved in the preceding articles, shall the school board be authorized to expend such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school and other program purposes, provided that such grants, programs, or other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated.
I move the article as written.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 16? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Tamara Steinhauer, South Berwick. Since grant income and expenses are not included in the budget, how would we get that information?
I believe there was a tab at the very back of the budget book that was presented on the district's website that has all of the grant funding for the district. And it's listed out, I believe, for the last 5 years.
And as taxpayers, we can get complimentary copies of that budget?
Sure.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other discussion? Yes.
Debbie Garrett from South Berwick. It's talking about other, funds from federal and state grants and other sources. You mentioned that you had an $800,000 rainy day fund, is that correct? And is that being invested or vested somehow to gain interest off of it? And if so, what is happening to that interest income? It's not, I don't think I've heard it mentioned here.
So I think calling it a rainy day fund is not correct.
Okay.
That's the district's fund balance. So that lets us, meet the demands of running a $37 million budget. So there are months, when we pay school payrolls where we have to use some of that $800,000 to make payroll until our subsidy payment comes in from the state or until we get our town checks for the month. So that's kind of like our operating cash. It's not really a rainy day fund that we can just spend.
Okay, well, that's great, but where has it been placed? I mean, surely something this large of an amount should gain at least a half-decent interest rate, I would think, that could come back into this whole budget. Am I mistaken?
As part of our local revenues that we're raising, we talked about it earlier, about $2.9 million. We do have interest income listed under there for about $25,000.
Okay. All right. Also, I understood that the student count was 2,120. Is that the number that I heard, or did I make a
That was our
mistake there?
certified October 1 enrollment. That is correct.
2,120. And the budget is 37,831,622. So I came, according to my math, it's approximately $17,845 per student with this budget. I mean,
You're comparing current year enrollment to next year's budget?
well, I'm
So
comparing
I'm
the
not,
number
I'm
that
not
you
sure
gave
if
us.
the student enrollment would be true for next year. We'd have to wait and see where enrollment comes in.
Okay. All right. I'm just really blown away at the size of this budget and the amount per student. And also, someone mentioned that Maine's ranked very low in the U.S. Is that correct? Okay. For that amount of money, for this budget, what are the plans that the public can know about to help improve this? I mean, like I said, I'm totally blown away with all the numbers I'm hearing and seeing. Pardon me?
So there's a motion to end discussion and vote. Requires a
Okay.
2/3 vote. It's not debatable. So all those in favor of ending discussion and voting? Thank you. Opposed? Okay.
I'm
so
good. Thank you. I appreciate the moment.
You're welcome. So Article 16, we're voting on it. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. Article 16 carries as written. Article 17, shall the school board be authorized to transfer amounts exceeding 5% of the total appropriation for any cost center to another cost center or among other cost centers for the 24-25 fiscal year, provided that transfers shall not be permitted to increase the authorized total school budget?
I move the article as written.
Second.
Is there any discussion on Article 17? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. So Article 17 passes as written. Before we adjourn, I want to remind everybody that the budget, Articles 1 through 14, it is the school budget that's going to be voted on, yes or no, on June 11th at your local polling places. So be sure to go out and vote. I want to thank everyone for coming out and participating in this. As I said in the beginning, you're the legislative body, and you did your job by adopting a budget. Thank you. And most of all, I want to thank our ballot clerks for doing yeoman's work. Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning? Yes. Nobody's opposed. Good night. Everyone drive safely.